Hey everybody, Pastor Bo Wagner. How are you doing? You can tell by the setting around me that I'm not in my church office. My office today is a school bus, specifically the Mountain View Christian Academy school bus from Cowpen, South Carolina. I teach Bible there first and second period 4 days a week, but I also sometimes fill in as a bus driver for them. The little kids needed to go on a field trip today, so I'm sitting in the parking lot of Kangaroo Jack's waiting for them to get out. While I was sitting here waiting, I decided to make good use of the time and answer some of the questions that so regularly get sent to me online. One of the questions that came in today was such a good one that I figured I would do a video to answer it. The question was, if Jesus was God, who was he praying to? That is a great question. So please let me answer that. Let me begin by dealing with the idea of whether Jesus was God or not. Unequivocally, the scripture's clear on this. Yes, he was. Hebrews chapter 1 verse 8 says, "But unto the Son he saith, Thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. A scepter of righteousness is the scepter of thy kingdom." Colossians 2:9 says that in him dwelleth all the fullness of the Godhead bodily. John put it like this in John chapter 1, starting in verses 1 through 3. "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made." And then verse 14 follows up on that by saying, "And the Word was made flesh, and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory. The glory is of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth." So yes, Jesus absolutely was and is God. He got into trouble with the religious leaders for making that claim and for saying, "I and my Father are one." So since he was God, who is he praying to? Why? How does that work? Well, it's not really complicated. God the Son was in fact praying to God the Father. Now, it wouldn't have been necessary in heaven before the first advent. But remember, John chapter 1 tells us that the Word became flesh. The incarnation. He lowered himself. Here's how Philippians chapter 2 verse 5 through 8 puts it. "Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus, who being in the form of God thought it not robbery to be equal with God, but made himself of no reputation, and took upon him the form of a servant, and was made in the likeness of men. And being found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross." So God the Son became flesh so he could die for the sins of all mankind. And yet, in him still dwelt all the fullness of the Godhead bodily. He still had the same omniscience, omnipotence, omnipresence that he's always had, and yet he does not avail himself of most of those privileges most of the time while he is on earth. There's one glimpse of his glory on the Transfiguration. He naturally does miracles to prove the veracity of his claims, and yet he walks about as a man. Isaiah said there's no beauty in him that we should desire him, talking about his physical appearance. He gets hungry. He gets thirsty. As a baby, he has to be carried and nursed. He lowered himself. He humbled himself. He did not use the privileges of his deity for himself while he was on earth. Instead of just miraculously doing everything for himself, he prayed, just like he taught us to pray. Hanging on the cross in Matthew 26, he said, "Thinkest thou not that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 10 legions of angels?" So God the Son prayed to God the Father. He taught us through that the importance of prayer, because if the Son needs to pray, how much more do we need to pray? If God needs to pray when he's in flesh, how much more does man need to pray while we walk about in flesh? So the answer is God the Son prayed to God the Father. That's how much he humbled himself for us, and that teaches us just how important it is for us to pray. Hope this helps. God bless you. Have a great day.